cannot travel outwards at this same speed, the speed of sound. That is, at sea level, the speed of sound is about 760 miles per hour. The speed of sound.
Well, welcome to Speed of Sound, you guys. We are back for episode 2. Here with me laying it all down is Brad Perez, race car driver and motorsports human. His words, not mine.
Yes.
And Bobby Marcos, producer, the man slinging bass for emo revival band Cloakroom. What's going on, you guys? How are you?
I'm good.
This is the calmest
My feet have been on steady ground. I haven't. Yeah, Brad's been living. I've been watching. So I'm good. I've got nothing to say.
You've provided me very good nuggets through the weekend. Every time I read your tweets, I learn something new. So thank you.
Oh, I mean, it's got to go somewhere. You know, can't just be rattling around in my brain. I got to put it out somewhere.
And I appreciate that.
I'm glad.
We have Brad Perez, now reserve driver. I mean, dude, hot off of an insane weekend for you. You were subbed in for JJ in the 42 car. How was that? How did that opportunity even present itself? You stepped into the ride mid-weekend. Who asked you first? How did that all go down?
So that weekend, I was basically the car chief of the O2 car for Ryan Ellis, and we were there going through tech. It was a tough week for us. We went to the race. You know, we found out that our interior guy had to do tire carrier during the pit stop because they were short a guy. So then I had to do driver service. So I had to put Ryan in the car. I had to give him his bottle. I had to put him in, I had to do the window, all that stuff. I was like, oh, I've done it before. I can do it, whatever.
Yeah.
So I put him in the car, whatever. He goes off, first pit stop, his freaking helmet hose comes off on the backside. I didn't realize that it came out from the backside and not the mount. So I'm going in there, first pit stop, I take a tear off. I'm giving him a water bottle. I'm taking it out. I'm going in with some tape, and I'm like, the hose is gone. So I'm like, I don't have any time to fix this. Sorry, dog. And I went across the wall. And then after that pit stop was over, ran it with a little bit. I had a plan to fix it at the end of stage 2 to fully fix it. And then crew chief was like, you don't have to fix it. He's fine. Whatever. His Reeni's working, right? And I was like, yeah, your Reeni's working. I put you in with the Reeni. It works. His cool shirt. So right at the end of stage 2, a caution comes out. Tyler is frantically running and taps me on the shoulder. And he goes, Brad, do you have your stuff? And I'm like, yeah, duh. And he goes, well, put it on because you're about to hop into 42. I was like, what? So I knew what pit stall the 42 was because I had all the paperwork. That's the preparation I do because I know we were stall 16, they were stall 4. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, the hauler is near stall 40. So I got to run all the way to the hauler. I'm sprinting and it's hot. So I'm sprinting and also in the full fire suit because I'm in the pit crew fire suit on.
Yeah.
With my belt and my helmet, and I'm jogging over there. I get to the hauler, I'm wheezed because I'm finally put my stuff on, and then I'm running with my stuff back to pit road. I happened to cross the paths of 3 media people, and they were like, "What?" I'm like, "I might get in the 42. I don't know." And I'm running. And I'm glad I said that to those people because I'm pretty sure that's the only reason why I ended up on TV is because I bumped into 3 people, and they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "I'm in the 42 now." Yeah, so I got in the car, IMSA style driver change, and then Tyler's like, "Just don't prove anything. You're just going out there." And
wow,
it happened. And we drove from last to 24th, and then the caution come out, and then we had no more tires. So then I had to drop back as everybody pitted, and then we finished 28th. So whatever. But yeah.
Damn, dude, that is insane.
Do you? I wanted to ask you about something that just resonated with me. Do you practice pit stops with the team? Are you guys at that level, or are you just kind of winging it?
So we don't really do that. So as a driver, I've done pit practice at Elevated, so near Young's Motorsports, Elevated with Pat Cole running the show. He does pit practice, and I work out over there. So sometimes I'll drive the pit practice car. But then to do the work in the pit stops, to help roll the tires and stuff, I kind of picked it up after years of doing it. Like, just, you show up and there's only so many reps you can have before you kind of have it down. Like, I know how to roll a left rear pretty easily because I've done it for however many times. Having the reps definitely does matter because doing a pit stop during a race is not easy if you do it with no like proper, knowledge.
It's cool to see. I feel like as purely a fan with no over the wall experience in racing, purely a spectator, you see like if you watch like Full Speed, whatever, the Netflix show, you see like the training, like Chris Gabehart going to like the Joe Gibbs training, and he's like watching them like a coach watching a football team or whatever. So it's cool to see like the duality of the sport of NASCAR, where it's like people like you that's like, okay, well, I know how to do this, I've done it a ton, but there's no like practice like there is like with the super established teams.
Yeah, like actually one of my buddies from Haas, like they actually do practice the whole doing the tear off, the rolls, like doing all that in time. But yeah, I've never even done it. The faster your guys are at changing and doing all that, the more apt you have to be as your support because they need you to do the stop. Like if they don't have you, like it's easily worth a second or 2 seconds.
Brad, what was running through your head while you were in the car this past weekend? What soundtrack were you playing in your mind?
It is @ by the artist Arca.
Okay.
Ironically, Arca, not the series, Arca the person. And if you listen to that song, which is a very long song, that is exactly what was going on in my mind the entire time. And I will let you listen to that on the side. I would not like to poison your brain right now.
How long of a song is it?
Let's see.
Are we talking 10 minutes, 15?
I'd say Arca is
What kind
like
of
the
a
John
commitment?
Cage of electronic music. You know what I'm saying? The song is an hour and 2 minutes.
Oh my God.
An hour, 2 minutes, and 20 seconds. So if you'd like to listen to it.
Yes. Hell yes.
I was definitely from home. I was definitely, and I'm sure you were too. I was like Leonardo DiCaprio meme. Like every time they said Brad Perez, I was like, yeah, all right, pointing at the TV, like, okay, yeah, So that was awesome. Crazy. Way to have an eventful weekend, man.
Yeah, man. I keep my streak alive of since 2022. I have not been on track during a COTA weekend for NASCAR.
Nice.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And then at the Cup race on Sunday, we had Myatt Snider texting you, asking you for advice before he jumps in. When you saw that text, were you like, what the hell is going on?
So, see, my thing is I don't ask questions. Like, if you texted me, like, Allie, you could just be like, I need to know how to change a tire. And I'm like, I'm not going to assume what is the reason why you need to know that, but I'm just going to give you that information. So he asked me a question and I gave him the information. And then I'm like, yeah, whatever. I put my phone down and I'm like, half asleep watching this race. And then I see, Alex Bowman, get out of the car. And I see Myatt on the TV and I'm just like, huh? And I'm like, oh, that's why.
Dots connected.
Yeah, they connected. But yeah, that's I am very happy for Myatt, actually, because that's wild. You know how hard it is to actually get in a Cup car nowadays because nobody can get approved. So like the fact that he was like the person that was there and approved and was working with Chevy, like to be able to do that is like awesome. So I mean, hell, who knows where that could help him end up. So different.
Wow.
We talked about you on the teardown. Well, we talked about the whole situation, but Jeff and Jordan brought you up, and then they brought up they laid out like the whole process of it. Like, there was nobody else really that was like in the position to do it, and Chad Knaus had to like text Mike Ford from NASCAR and be like, "Hey, can we approve him real quick?" And like the way the approval, I mean, the way the approval process works is like you start with road courses and short tracks. And since Myatt like has experience in other series, they were like, okay, we'll approve you for a Cup road course.
Yeah, there's no reason why he shouldn't
pretty
be.
major.
Like, because also he's won an O'Reilly race. Like people forget he had to beat Tyler Reddick to win that race. If people don't remember, I remember because I was there. So like Myatt he's well deserving. Hell, he's won a stage in a Jordan Anderson car on a road course in NOAP. So, the approval process is obviously it's tedious because it has to be. But like definitely well deserving of a shot for Myatt.
Bobby, how about you? How was your weekend, man?
After we had a production meeting, a little bit about how the sausage is made for our listeners. We had a production meeting this time last week on Monday, and literally like right after I got off the horn with you guys, my wife walked in. She's like, "That 9 Inch Nails show is in Milwaukee tonight." I was like, "Dang, Milwaukee is 2 hours from us, past Chicago. So you drive past Chicago, up the coast. So it's not impossible, but it is like
it's
insane.
a hike.
Like it's an insane.
The traffic.
Yeah, it's just an insane thing. I mean, it's just crazy to drive like, without planning, so we like literally hopped in the car. She bought tickets like on the way.
Oh my God, no way.
So real for that.
Which was crazy,
That's cool.
And it was, I haven't fully sat with it yet, but I have to like, it has to be in the top 5 shows I've ever seen.
Whoa.
It was just insane. Like,
Not
I don't know if
surprised.
you've seen videos or whatever from it, but dude, there's like multiple stages. They're like sprinting between the two. Like there's a stage in the middle of the arena floor that they're doing like the electronic stuff at.
Wow.
It's like Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
So sick.
And then they sprint to the other stage and then they do the full band, like alternative rock stuff
Heck
there.
yeah.
And there's like lights and projectors and smoke. And it was just like, it shattered. It was like shattering my mind,
Like the older they get,
So we did
the more
that.
creative they become.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel so. I'm stoked on that. I
So
actually have to
cool.
look that up now. So I'm probably gonna miss that tour regardless.
Yeah. No, so my wife and my brother-in-law and his partner, they saw them in Chicago. This was months ago. And then my brother-in-law and his partner flew to New Orleans and saw them again at the beginning of this leg. And this was like towards the end of that leg. So I'm glad I saw it, I don't know what the future holds for them because they're becoming like a weirder and weirder band. We had tickets to see the Smoking Popes on Friday, which if you don't know, they're like a legendary Chicago, like kind of pop punk band. They've been a band since the 90s, kind of at like the tail end of like, I guess, they're alternative rock, but they're like pop punk for sure. And they were playing with Scott Lucas from the band Local H, which are kind of like a legendary Chicago, like alternative rock band. So that was a great show. I wasn't super familiar with the Smoking Pope stuff. That's more like my wife's thing, but she got me super into them and I was blown away by it. So we went, back to Milwaukee, came home. Saturday, I had plans to jam with my brother-in-law. So we went to Chicago and they were going to go, he and his friends and his partner were going to go to this show at one of the chapels on the campus of University of Chicago. And it was like, it was a couple of Scottish artists, Frederick Raston and Alistair Roberts. They played in this like chapel, just like two dudes playing like guitars.
That's awesome.
They played these like crazy, like droning Scottish ballads where the songs were like 15 to 20 minutes long.
Wow.
You were just like getting lost in this like trance, basically. Like the whole room you could tell was like vibing out and just like kind of like in a trance, So it was cool. That was, like I said, 3 very different concerts.
Keeps it fresh,
to go to.
man.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great though.
Yeah, it was
You're
awesome.
becoming our like
Yeah,
resident
so-
full-time concert correspondent.
I went to a ton of shows earlier this year before we started the show. And then like, I felt like I had nothing on the books. So I was like, cool. Like right as soon as I stop going to shows, we're going to have a podcast about going to shows. But thankfully the calendar is filling up again.
I didn't catch too much of the action in St. Pete, which I wish I would have because I heard the trucks race was great. But yeah, it seemed really cool. So
The IndyCar race was another ass beating.
yes,
Alex
But-
Pillow type.
Alex.
Yeah. Woo,
A goat.
Man. I mean, we were talking on Speed Street about like, who's going to take that step like towards being a competitor to him, but
Nobody.
that's not
Yeah.
not a good sign if he's winning by, I think he won by 13
Yeah.
seconds.
He's like Scott
Wow.
Dixon,
So-
but like Spanish.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, definitely flashes of Scott Dixon's like scariest period.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was like his 20th win in 99 starts.
Yeah, he's like 20% from
Which
the
is-
from the
that
field.
that percentage is insane.
staggering.
Yeah.
That's a staggering statistic.
Wow.
So, thankfully they're right back at it at Phoenix this weekend. So we'll see if the ovals shake things up for them, but it's going to be tough to beat them.
Time will tell. Well, to jump into things today, excited to kind of run back on New Music Friday picks for last week. What are you guys taking away from that run, from that slate of songs and artists and all that goodness that we had?
Ooh, can I start?
Do it.
Okay.
Please.
All right. So I would like to preface this by, I know we've talked about Mitski a lot.
Mitski!
Like, we talk about Mitski all the time now. It's like the bit, I guess. But I have not listened to like a Mitski full length project since nobody, like since that era. So I went and actually listened to it, and I listened to it like a lot. And it ranges from like a kind of ballad, like 60s kind of like I would say like old school country sounding ballads, like some like twangy like fiddles and guitars and banjos and stuff like that, and then like you'll get like kind of like alt rock songs in there, and her vocals shine. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think it's funny, like the way that they process her vocals in some songs make it sound more old school, and then in like some makes it sound more modern, which I think is really cool because I feel like they gel really well in the grand scope of the entire project, and like the things that she talks about and just being sad about stuff and just like misconnections and just not feeling understood, and she basically going through like eras of life and eras of time, singing about the same thing as if she was like a human going through a time machine. Like I don't know, that's how I grasped it in my brain.
Yeah.
The only other album that I really listened to a lot was the Nothing album. And dude,
That's awesome.
My God. Like,
yeah,
that's a jammer, dude. Like I put that on and I don't even know when it ended. Like I just kept it looping. And it kind of reminds me of, this is going to sound so cheesy, but it kind of like reminds me of high school. Like it reminds me of just like sitting in my car, like waiting for school to start and just like jamming and sitting in your car, just like hanging out, like, I don't know, checking my phone, playing like with my Rubik's Cube or something. Like it's just something you can put on and just vibe to. Like it's nothing serious. It's nothing like playful, but it's like, it's cool jamming music. And I now have to look back on some of the other records and singles and stuff because I have not heard any history of Nothing in my life. So I gotta take a look at it. Yeah. The Short History of Decay.
They're great.
For those who did not hear it last time.
I'm biased, obviously. I've got I share members with that band. So, but I watched that album come to life, because I heard the demos. I heard Doyle was playing voice memos of him and Nikki writing these songs like in their infancy, right? And then I heard the first batch of pre-production demos they did. They flew out to California and they recorded demos with Nick Bassett from Whir.
Yeah, dude,
and
that band is so
then I heard
too.
They're great. I mean, they're legends. Nothing and Whir have carved out a place within modern shoegaze of being like they're at the top of the pyramid, which is incredible. And this record, I think I remember telling Nikki, like, it's been a while since their last record, but so much has happened in that scene since that record. And I was like, this is going to be like a record that's going to kind of like firmly establish them in a place of prominence within the genre. And I think it already has, but it will continue to. They're about to embark on this tour. They're leaving in 2 days.
Wow.
It's a tour forever, basically, in support of this record.
Please tell me.
Is...
Please don't tell me it's on a Saturday.
Sorry, I should have had this queued up for you. Yeah, they're playing Cat's Cradle on the Thursday, and then they're playing Asheville at Eulogy, which is a really awesome place, on the next day, on the Friday.
Are they playing Atlanta the day before? Are they playing Atlanta the day before, or are they playing like Richmond? I'd assume Richmond.
They're playing Atlanta the day after on the 7th.
Wait.
I would not fret, Brad. Knowing this band, they are going to be touring all year. So I'm sure you will have ample opportunities to see them play.
Good.
And we will make sure that you are well taken care of because they're incredibly gracious people and really, really kind, But I agree. I with everything you said, the record's awesome. I want to shout out their new drummer Zach that played on this record. He's if you heard like the breakbeat stuff, which I think it threw a lot of their audience that expect that very like down tempo shoegaze drumming, and all of a sudden they've got like crazy fast EDM breakbeat stuff happening. Like that's all Zach. Zach does a lot of that stuff as a side project in a project MSC, and he brought that influence to the table. And I think it did a lot to kind of really open up their sound. If you,
It's different.
That's awesome.
If you go back, it's cool. It developed their sound a ton. If you go back and you listen to My Bloody Valentine's like last record when they reunited their record MBV, the final track on that record, it's called Wonder 2. It is that sound. It's like soaring guitars with breakbeats.
Dude, it's funny. That's like the
And that kind
shoegaze
of
starter
opened the
kit.
door.
Like that record.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah, exactly. And that kind of opened the door for bands like Nothing to now integrate that sound, So I applaud them. I think they took some big steps like in their songwriting and took some big chances like on the production, and it paid off. It's a really cool sounding record. So I'm stoked you dug it, dude.
The one record that reminded me of, and not to like obviously I'm comparing because like if you did listen to this album and you liked it, this will be like a more evolved like modern version of it. This is the R by Dive. That album,
yeah.
if you liked that album or like music that sounds like that, this one is like if you just refined everything that you thought was cool about it. And it made me want to listen back to that album again because I was like, damn, like this is this similar or is that? But it's awesome. So I cannot recommend it enough.
Dive. If you're listening, Dive is DIIV.
Yes.
That's how it's spelled. And I will say they have no bad songs. They're one of those bands that just can somehow do that.
And they be changing too. Like they don't release the same record every time. Like
I listened to everything I recommended. I will say that my favorite thing was something I did not recommend, and it fell on my radar after we had adjourned. But an artist, Nathan Fake, had a new record out called Evaporator, and this was someone that like I followed on Tidal, and I liked his music but forgot about him because I follow way too much stuff, But I saw a review of that album and I listened to it, and I will say that the first track on that record, I think it's pronounced Iowa. It's AIWA. That's already my song of the year. That's going to be my contender for song of the
big
year.
news.
So I'm not sure.
Whoa.
We'll see as the year goes on if it gets ousted.
Right.
But right now, that song, and that's usually how I come up with that is it's like writing an angry letter where you write it and you put it in your drawer for 5 days, and if you still feel angry, then you send it. Like I heard that song, I listened to it like 10 times. I'm like, I think I love this a lot, and then I didn't listen to it for like a week, and I'm like, yeah, I love it. So
it is in my life.
Yeah, Nathan
I'm ready
Fake.
for it.
He's great. Electronic music, really, really chill, and some of it's dancier, some of it's more ambient, but it's really great mix. And he seems to be like a super proficient songwriter. I listened to Moby. It was beautiful. Big shocker there.
I did listen to that one too. That was a vibe.
I mean, it's like classic Moby, big pianos and beautiful, beautiful singing.
Yeah.
So there weren't any surprises there, but with Moby, I guess I don't want any surprises. I kind of just want Moby, so that Trauma Ray album, I know you were talking about that riff in Hannibal's an ass beater, as we like to say.
It sounded like some beat
It's
down shit.
Real ass beater of a riff, as we like to say.
Dude.
I was really impressed by that. Bill Callahan, My Days of 58. It's if you haven't listened to Bill Callahan, he's got a very deep voice. It's like folk music. It's very, very chill. And he's written some of the best folk songs like in the modern era of folk, I would say. He has a lot to live up to. This record's cool, but you could tell it's very like you just got in the room with some guys and jammed out some arrangements. There's not like a lot of like overproduction. It's pretty like loose, I thought the song The Man I'm Supposed to Be was good. That one was really catchy. He had some great harmonies going on there. That one I feel like was the most like concise like way to tiptoe into this record. So it was good. I told you about Buck Meek from Big Thief. His solo record, The Mirror. It did not sound the way I expected it to. It was much more like up tempo, kind of like soft rock, but cool. It reminded me a lot of another artist I really like, Sam Evian, and they've worked a ton together, so I can see like the similarities in the production. But that record was a jammer. That of all the other, of all these records, that is probably the one I'm going to go back to the most. I would say I only listened to it once, but I thought all the songs were really catchy. The Iron and Wine record was epic. Big arrangements, strings, horns, beautiful folk music. It took me back to like early 2000s, like Garden State, like when the Postal Service and the Shins and all that were like happening. Like he was a part of that movement, and he's still consistently putting out great music.
I like that.
That's
I love
great.
the Postal Service.
Yeah.
So I've never listened to Iron and Wine, so I'm putting that on there.
I know he's like a legend, and that's another, like, I haven't spent enough time. He's like super prolific, but I was like, well, doing this podcast is going to be a great reason for me to be like, I'm listening to this. I'm not just like putting it on the shelf, So I listened to it and I wasn't disappointed. It was awesome,
Oh, damn, he's on Sub Pop. I didn't even know that.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yep. I think he's been on there forever. Like I said, that was like with the Postal Service. I'm pretty sure the Postal Service covered him and he covered the Postal Service. So that was like a thing when I was in high school.
That's
where
crazy.
they, so.
Oh
yeah,
dude, one of his suggested artists is James Vincent McMorrow, which is one of my favorites. Oh,
there we go. There we
That's the
go.
best.
I went ahead and I started, I meant to put out a video for this, but if you're listening, like we started playlist on all the major platforms. So Spotify, Tidal, I've got one going on YouTube, and we're talking about all these albums and we're putting songs on those playlists. And then I even went on YouTube and I started my own personal picks that might just be things I'm like into. So I'll probably like offload some of this stuff onto there because, I think, how it is. Like when you start recommending music, it's easy to start overwhelming people. So we're trying to be mindful of that.
Yeah. And I think a cool thing that we're going to do is, this is what I'm doing also on our streaming platform playlists, is that I'm separating them by episode. So like, let's say if you went back to the first episode and you dug a band and like you had only found this podcast like 5 minutes ago, like you'll be able to find that thing. I'm not going to change it or take it off of the thing. And I'm also not going to make that playlist 100,000 songs long. So each episode gets its own playlist because you can make unlimited playlists. So why not?
Yeah, that's the best way. Make it digestible,
Absolutely.
I'm down
Once
for
you
that.
get lost in the sauce. You know what I'm saying?
No, exactly. I have one, recommendation, and this was a pleasant
This is huge.
surprise yesterday with Sturgill Simpson, and I had logged on to our YouTube account for our show, and I'm like, what is this? Because the album literally was not supposed to drop for another 2 weeks. And then yesterday at 5 p.m., here we are, Johnny Blue Skies in the Dark Clouds. You guys, this was such a freaking groove. I about lost my mind. I had it on replay the rest of the night. I would kill to see these guys live this year. Like, I just want to be dancing under the moon, shoeless on a lawn, listening to these guys.
Yeah.
I'm manifesting this if that could happen. But some super, super funky jams.
It's an alter ego for Sturgill Simpson.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, it's kind of
Very
like
cool.
the Mac Miller,
Okay.
Larry Fisherman kind of deal.
Yes. And the way in which the album, when you listen to it, it just it has such a nice flow. Like it was just the most wonderful like background noise as I was going about my afternoon too, and then I'm like, I was really getting embedded in these songs as I was listening to them. So yeah, highly, highly recommend.
The artwork's
Yes.
killer.
Oh my
Definitely
God. Right?
have to check it out.
Aren't those graphics cool?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So
really,
all
really
around.
cool.
Yeah. High recommendation.
Nice.
But
All right, Allie.
yes.
Very
Hey,
quality
I gotta
pick
do
right there.
gotta do
Nice.
my
There we
part,
go.
guys, you know?
I'm sold. You sold me. I'm on it now.
Good.
Yeah, I'm into it.
This upcoming week, March 6th, what is on our lineup? What kind of picks you guys got for us?
On Friday, March 6th, which is Phoenix Week, we have Denzel Curry, Tia Corinne, ASAP Ferg, also known as The Scythe. We are now restarting rap groups. Rap groups are now a thing again. We are now all starring rappers together. One of the most notable ones is Caribou and Lil Yachty and all his people. It's Us. That record, they actually came up with a second version of that. This is not part of what I was talking about, but kind of just talking about the kind of new trend of rap groups starting back again. So strictly for the Scythe. So obviously Denzel Curry put out a record with freaking Knocked Loose and is trying to get into more like heavier and like rock centered music. This is kind of more just like aggressive hip hop, but also with kind of like crazy flows, some lyricism, a little bit of everything kind of included in there. This record has Laser Dim 700. It has Tia Corinne on most of the songs. Obviously ASAP Ferg, Denzel Curry. They have released 2 singles for this already. And they are both very different, but they're actually really cool and spunky and definitely like a high energy rap album. Definitely, I feel like a lot of bros are gonna have this on the on the gym playlist. But I think in general this would be kind of a genre shifting record. I feel like we haven't had many of those in hip hop since I would say like the last Kendrick album, the last Baby Keem album. Yep. And obviously the last J. Cole album, like this, that's kind of the big players in the game. And I think Denzel Curry brings something from the alternative world that translates over really well. One of my picks that's also one of Bobby's picks is the Flying Lotus album called Big Mama. Do you have anything about that?
I mean, he's consistently brilliant, so I'm not expecting anything but, but I know that this is like an EP. I think he's also doing like a movie or something. Nice. I read a press release about it. So he's got like a big year in store. And all I've heard is like the 30-second teaser for it, but it sounds ethereal and insane. So if you're not familiar with Flying Lotus, I would say he's like one of the premier producer, like electronic music producers in the last, 20 years, right?
And there's no rules.
Totally. No rules, totally genre bending. It is electronic music in its synthesis, but like a lot of different genres come into play, and he's brilliant. He's collaborated with a lot of different artists. You've probably heard his beats before, you've heard his songs before without even realizing it. But yeah, he's just continuing his super epic discography with the new EP.
Yeah, like he is very giftedly weird. And I say that as like somebody who's been a really big fan of his for a long time. I got to see him perform in 2016 at 3 Points Music Festival in Miami. I've seen him perform at like the RC Cola Factory in Miami one time, like opening for Virgil Abloh, like of Off-White, RIP Virgil. Wow. But he's always been a really big tastemaker in the hip hop space. I would think like I mentioned Sophie a lot. I feel like I'm going to mention Sophie like every time I mention like avant-garde music. But like if you were talking about Sophie and being an ahead of the curve producer that has created artists that we know like Charlie XCX and so forth. Flying Lotus is the weird guy who's given us Vic Mensa. He's given us Kendrick Lamar. He's given us Thundercat. He's given us Mac Miller. Like that, he is to the hip hop world what Sophie was to the pop world. So if you've never listened to Flying Lotus's music, relax first and then put it on.
Check it out. Yeah.
And then don't freak out. Don't skip the song. The next one that I have here is Netspend Early Life Crisis. This was supposed to drop last week, but in classic, Gen Alpha, Netspend member of Gen Alpha, who knows what happens. But Netspend is a quote unquote cloud rapper who's very young and obviously just very I would say part of the new wave that is really like kind of touching the under part of the mainstream in the pop world. Netspend definitely not like anything super cutting edge, but it's definitely what's popping. So if you're not with the kids, not with what Gen Alpha is rocking with right now, if you listen to the Netspend album, you're definitely going to hear at least like 4 of those songs on a random TikTok that you don't even recognize it's him. So I will be listening to it just because I like to keep, ears and eyes everywhere. So definitely recommend if you're not familiar with underground hip hop right now or the top part of underground hip hop.
Wow.
Ty Dolla $ign Girl Music Volume 1. So I put this on there because Ty Dolla $ign is very well known as an artist that writes for a lot of other artists. Like you would know Julia Michaels writes for a lot of artists. Ty Dolla $ign is to that in the pop space as well. So to hear him come out with a record, usually it means like songs that did not get picked by bigger artists that he felt very strongly for to put on an album. So I will be looking forward to listening to this because usually it ends up being ahead of the curve and probably not getting radio play because obviously he's more of a writer than he is an artist. to the grand executives of the big three. So Ty Dolla $ign, Girl Music, Volume 1. I have Slayer, Bloodlux, not the band Slayer, Slayer Slayr. So this is one of my favorite Atlanta rappers coming up right now. Very melodic, kind of like singing kind of vibes. His last album had flows that I did not even believe could be in time and make sense.
Wow.
And it is fun. Like, it's so fun. Like, he has that Atlanta flair and taste, like the same Atlanta flair and taste and slang that we grew up listening to, like with Outkast and artists of that sort, like Soulja Boy, whatever.
Yeah.
But just turned into like a modern face that is more like post hyperpop beats with kind of very modern production and references. So Slayer, really cool artist, and he's into a lot of alternative music and alternative culture. Some of the outros of these songs are just straight up metal breakdowns for no reason. Like there's zero purpose for that. I think it's just to show that he's not normal, I guess.
He's quirky.
Yeah, he's literally. Yeah. I'm not like the other girls.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's his vibe. So I think it's cool. If you've never heard of him before, definitely recommend. This one is probably going to be the biggest release of this weekend. Is Harry Styles' "Kiss All the Time" disco occasionally, following up the Harry's House, which was obviously a super well received album. Yeah. It had like some disco, it had some like, oldies sounding ELO kind of songs. It like one of my favorite Harry Styles song of all time, "Satellite," was off that last record. So I loved it. So I am looking forward to this. I listened to the single for this album. There's only one single available right now, called "Aperture," and it sounds like Aphex Twin. And I don't know what to say of this because I just can't imagine Harry Styles dropping like an IDM album with pop vocals. So, obviously he's a very good musician, like in general, a very good singer. Yeah. And obviously he has probably good writers behind him too. So like, I don't know what this is going to sound like. And I'm very excited to figure out what this is going to sound like. Obviously there's a lot of Harry Styles fans out there. Yeah. They probably don't care. They're going to listen to it anyways. But I am very interested from a musical perspective to figure out what this thing is going to sound like.
I'm pumped. Next episode, we're going to have to run it back and
deep dive on
lay
the
it out
Styles
because
album.
I'm very curious to see. This might even be one where it could be fun to like do a small like social clip of like us listening to it. You know what I'm saying?
The before the Harry Styles and then the after the Harry Styles.
Yes. Exactly.
Oh my God. That actually, we should do that. We should listen to one live. We should wait to listen to an album live together.
Yes. Oh my God. That would be so fun. Let's do it.
It'd be funny. And then the last pick that I have on here on the album's out next Friday, and I will deep dive this in a minute. But I'll wait till Bobby gets his, is an album by an artist out of Sweden. Her name is Cobra, and it's called Torn. And Cobra is, once again, artist out of Sweden. She left her hometown at a very early age to go to Berlin to find more people that were like-minded as her. Wow. And making music that is extremely sexually charged, very for the club. Like if you think about like clubs in Berlin, like you would definitely like this fits the idea that you have in your brain, but it's also a lot about kind of like the after the party sounding like it is the party at the same time. And I'll dive into that in a second. But I will pass it on to Bobby. What are your picks?
So I dove in. It looks like we're due for a new Bonnie Prince Billy record, which William Oldham, that's his moniker he plays under. He's a very prolific folk artist who I will admit, if you look at his discography, it's like 30 albums long. So it's a little bit overwhelming, and I fully haven't taken the plunge, but as part of the exercise, I listened to, the singles from this, and it sounds beautiful. I think it's going to be like a really nice folk record, which seems like that's kind of his MO. Mute Swan, I thought I had heard of this band. The artwork of this record looked like correct to me. It's called Skin Slip. And upon investigating, I do not know this band, but I listened to it and it's something I really like. If you're into that 90s shoegaze sound, they're definitely channeling that. So it's just kind of like I said, it was a happy surprise, but they have like, they have like the 90s, drum and bass beats that I really like, kind of scratch my itch, but they had like really cool harmonies too. So that was a happy surprise from this exercise. Gregory Ullman, he's putting out a record called Extra Stars. He's been on my radar. He's kind of like avant-garde, electronic, ambient stuff, kind of definitely, nice environment, atmosphere music, and I knew he was putting this out and the single is really cool. So I'm knowing me, that's probably going to be the thing I gravitate to the most, like this coming week. I'm excited to hear it in its entirety. And then another record that was kind of like a happy surprise that I thought maybe I knew, but isn't anything I know. But Catherine Pretty, I don't know anything about this artist, but she has a new record coming out called These Frightening Machines. And that was like another thing where I'm like, this artwork looks really familiar. I feel like this is on my radar, and it wasn't, but it's like very nice sounding folk music. So pretty excited to hear the whole thing.
Nice. Also look out for that. That sounds cool.
I'm not really into folk music, but like you're like
Really?
kind of you're getting me there. So
Oh my
that's why
God.
I'm like saving some of these.
I'm
so
nuts
I can
about
listen to
it.
them later.
I
Yeah.
wasn't either,
Oh.
and now I am. I mean, I feel
Yeah.
like I'm realizing everything I've been recommending has been in
Yeah,
that
that's why
realm.
I'm like, I
part of the
kind of
Venn-
want to
that
get
Yeah.
part of the Venn that Venn diagram. But I have to credit my wife. I mean, my wife, like, I didn't listen to that music growing up, but
Yeah.
she, like I said, she got me into Bill Callahan. She got me into like a lot of that stuff, and then once that door opens, you're like, oh wow, this is like a lot of these artists are super prolific. They're like consistently great, So it's pretty easy to get lost in that world for sure,
For our listeners, where are you guys finding these new Music Friday picks? What's your go-to source when you are trying to line up all of these artists? Where are you guys going?
Well, so for me, I go to the homies. So like I ask the homies because I feel like your friends are usually more locked in. Like it's hard to know, especially with like independent artists, to know like who's coming out with what. Second, I like to use this website called albumoftheyear.org, and they rate it by popularity. And sometimes I just like do it by alpha, and I just keep going through until I find something. And then alternatively, like I am always trying to still follow the artists that I love on Instagram, and sometimes like the suggestions will come up, and then I'll see it, and then I'll bookmark it so I can remember that it's happening. Obviously, unfortunately the ability to pre-save albums sometimes is not available on streaming platforms, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And I can't really totally rely on it. So I will just bookmark something and then write it down so I know that when it comes out, I'll have it. Because you can only really rely on the artist's socials.
Yeah.
Because they're the only ones that really care to promote it when it comes out. At the end of the day, like the record label maybe. But I mean, if they don't, that's all you got.
Truth. No, that's great.
I agree with Brad. Like Album of the Year is awesome website, and you can go by date
Nice.
too, which is pretty
That's good.
awesome. So that's kind of been like really helpful, for me. I mean, yeah, like I'm looking ahead to like March 13th. I have numerous friends that are putting out records that day that like I forgot were happening, because it's impossible to keep up with all your friends'
It's
bands,
true.
but thankfully that website, it isn't just like major label releases. Like it goes pretty independent. Like we're going to talk about it, but like some friends of mine from like France are on there. So it's like it's pretty thorough. But then I have like a lot of websites that I just trust their like artists they curate because they've never steered me wrong. So, I mean, historically, like Pitchfork, I mean, I think Pitchfork's kind of known for being pretentious, but when it comes to like electronic music and stuff, like I usually agree with what they have to say. And then another website, Aquarium Drunkard, I really, really love. And they cover like a lot of like the weird part of the music industry that I follow and love. So I kind of, I go off a website, and all these websites are great for being like, here's albums that are coming out this year, or here's albums that are coming out this month. You know what I mean? So they do a good job of kind of like looking ahead that you can have things on your calendar. So when I'm preparing for this show, I'm like literally cross-referencing like 3 or 4 websites to be like, oh yeah, that's right, that came out this week or whatever. You know what I mean?
Are those websites basically the Yelp reviews for music in a lot of ways too? Like, can you go on there and like find other people's, is it like a Reddit kind of situation as well?
Album of the Year, I would say is probably the most like that. It does a good job of pulling their major like media critiques, but then there's also like user you can do like, you can do user reviews too. Pitchfork and Aquarium Drunkard are more just like proper press. Like, Pitchfork reviews for a really long time, their reviews and their scoring system like really drove the music industry.
Yeah.
And it was like, to get like a good score on Pitchfork, I mean, like that was huge in cloakrooms.
Yeah. Wow.
It is. Yeah. Like our first record got a great review on Pitchfork, and it I mean, whatever it does, it's art. It's debatable what it really does, but it's always a good look. That's changed. I'd say like music press has really continues to evolve as the internet in the digital age becomes more prominent,
right?
And written journalism is kind of, it's in a weird spot right now, but I still kind of go, I'm an old head and I'm a journalist. So I always kind of like lean on other journalists and especially journalists who I trust. I always go after them.
Yeah.
So.
No, this is so interesting to hear and learn because, as a newbie, as a novice, it's like, I don't know these things. So like to hear kind of the nitty gritty and behind the scenes and what's hot and kind of, how albums and music like this is talked about. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to hear about.
Yeah.
Yeah, the modern day, the thing that's huge is the playlist, and especially on Spotify, like the actual Spotify curated playlist. As an artist who's actively putting out music,
it's important.
I would say that drives more traffic than anything. Like if you get a song on New Music Friday or new rock or all new rock or whatever, these playlists have millions of subscribers. So when your song goes on there, all of a sudden you're on their libraries, for them to hear you. So obviously then there's channels to go through for that to translate to actual listeners. But like that's starting to take shape as the new way of getting your music out in front of like mass audiences, there's these curated playlists,
That's wild. March 13th, next week, Vegas week. What are our music picks, new Music Friday picks for March 13th as well? What's upcoming down the pipeline?
I will also start there. So James Blake is coming out with an album. James Blake, very big crossing over collaborator, very big in the hip hop world, but makes absolutely beautiful music. He's coming out with an album called Trying Times. Dream Theater is coming out with a live album from their show in Tokyo in 2010. If you're into Dream Theater, so it's like kind of progressive metal, prog metal, like, if you're into like Periphery or something like that, like this would probably be for you if you've never listened to Dream Theater. If you've definitely listened to Dream Theater, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you've listened to Periphery, you probably know what Dream Theater is, but in general, very melodic kind of metal, like very big atmosphere, stuff like that. Lamb of God, metal band, Into Oblivion album coming out, and I'm not a huge Lamb of God fan, but they've been around forever, and I have obviously many fans. I didn't even know they're still doing it, so I'm glad I checked to make sure. I'm just gonna listen to it anyways just to see what's going on. The Black Crowes, A Pound of Feathers.
Let's go.
I know y'all like the Black Crowes. And I've listened to the Black Crowes, but I'm not a huge fan. But like, once again, because of this, I will be diving in and I will be listening. For sure.
Okay.
The Fray, A Light That Waits. I did not know the Fray was putting out an album. I said this like right before we went live. I looked it up and they are putting out an album, and it does sound sick, and it does sound like some of Harry's House. So if you do like Harry Styles, and you've not listened to the Fray in the last 10 years, probably listen to it. Probably sounds similar, and I don't mind it at all, actually. My picks, short picks list, Acid Girl music. So if you are into, once again, like hard techno and like complete avant-garde pop, like very Silk-inspired, Acid Girl is in that lane. If you're into just hard beats and like poppy, bubbly sounding like synths and stuff like on top of it, Acid Girl is your artist. Sweet Pill, this is, I know, one of Bobby's picks. We were just talking about Sweet Pill before the show started. We all love Sweet Pill, band from Philly. Zaina Youssef, the front woman of this band, amazing voice. They have amazing writing. They're like mathy, but like they're punky, but then they're like has some pop elements. but then they're like alt rocky, and then there's some like ballads, and like it's hard sometimes, but it's beautiful sometimes, and like I am very excited to hear this album. A couple singles are out already. So if you've not heard Sweet Pill, I would even just listen to the singles right now because I guarantee you'll be excited about it, especially if you dig the music that we talk about in general.
Yeah.
Levin Kali, R&B singer. LK99 is the album that he's dropping really soon. If you are not very familiar with Levin Kali and you listen to the first Playboi Carti album, Levin Kali is a feature on that album when he was a very, 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 very small artist.
Wow.
Amazing voice. And I'm very excited to hear some of his solo work because if you're into artists like Gallant, very good singer. If you're into even like a Bryson Tiller to make it more poppy, you would definitely like Levin Kali. Yeah. Kind of more on the indie R&B side. And last but not least, for my very, very big, weird electronic music sounding people that don't like vocals, the artist called Girl, GRRL, is dropping a record called Beetle, and there's 2 singles out right now, and it absolutely sounds like the weirdest thing you can ever imagine. If you just imagine what the inside of a Beatles organ sound like, that is what the record sounds like. And if you're curious what that sounds like, you're like me and you want to listen to it. So I will be listening to it when it comes out.
That's hilarious. I love that description. Nice. Yeah, that's great. I am curious, damn it. I
Exactly.
want to know what the inside of a beetle sounds like.
It's weird, dude. It's like I don't know.
Bobby, how about you?
I definitely have the James Blake album circled. I've got a ton of like electronic music playlists that I will put on, and he's heavily featured on a lot of them. I think he's brilliant and just excited to hear his continued brilliance. The rest of my March 13th, I'm going to dedicate to shouting out Friends. I got a lot of Friends record coming out. Obviously, Sweet Pill, as we mentioned, their guitar player Jace, he books all of Cloakroom shows in Philly with the 4333 collective. He's largely instrumental in just cool music shows happening in Philly, and then he happens to play in this band too. So I'm happy to see him getting some spotlight. It seems like this record is going to be really a big deal for them. Photo Crime from Louisville, Kentucky. Hey. The main guy is Ryan Patterson, who is a legend. He played forever in a band called Coliseum, but him and his brother Evan are like the main cool music makers in Louisville. So Photo Crime is his newest project, and it's like very dark wavy. Like if you're into, Depeche Mode, New Order, like 80s, like kind of synthy dark wave stuff, like Photo Crime is definitely in that vein. And their new record called Security is also coming out on the 13th. And then going across the seas, my friends from Paris, a band called Mascara, they have their LP called Going Postal coming out on the 13th. They're definitely like, they fall under the shoegaze umbrella. They're alternative rock, like distorted guitars, but like very dreamy vocals and kind of washy production. So they're really excellent dudes. They're a great band. We've had the good fortune of playing with them and spent time with them in Paris, and they're really, really cool people. So I'm excited to see them putting out a record, and I'm hoping that it's going to bring them to the United States to play some shows. I would love to see them. It's been years since I've seen them. So yeah, those are my picks for the 13th. A lot of good friends putting out good music.
I have one more that I forgot.
Hit us with it. What you got? I
forgot. And it wasn't on Album of the Year. I don't know why, but I remembered it. Unity TX, a band out of Dallas, Texas, brainchild of Jay Webster, who is the person who writes the music and also the vocalist. They're putting out an album called Somewhere in Between. There are 4 singles out right now. Heinous is the lead single on it. So if you've never heard of Unity TX, they are a kind of like rap metalcore, very like towards the hardcore leaning. Like their sound is very hardcore leaning, but it's like polished like it's metalcore. That makes sense. Like the production style is very metalcore, but they are a hardcore band that has rap rock parts. I've been a huge fan of them ever since they dropped that first EP with Japan and Catch 22. And then obviously they went on to do Hellboy, which had like straight up rap songs in it. Like there was interludes that just were rap songs. and they had just metal songs, and then they had just songs that were both, and very kind of in between. I think Unity TX is kind of a sleeper band. Like, they're signed to Pure Noise, but I feel like they don't get the kind of recognition that the bigger Pure Noise bands get. And obviously, like, being under the shadow of bands like Knock Loose and Story So Far, like, you kind of get lost in the mix. And also, and this is really big for me, like, this is a band that has mostly Black and brown members that are representing in the metal space, who have opened for like very huge bands like Silverstein. Wow. And like kind of basically winning over a room with rap metal, which is like obviously not something that like everyone has grown to be accustomed to.
Yeah.
And it's a sick band. So like very community focused. Jay also has a lot of different other side projects that he does that for some reason get a lot more recognition than Unity TX, which is hilarious because he does it mainly as a joke. And then like Unity TX is like his serious thing. I think they deserve a little bit more credit in the space, especially when metalcore and hardcore in general gets a lot, like you can only make so many different versions of the same thing. And he pushes himself to make different riffs and different song structures and things like that to keep it fresh. So if you're not a fan of Unity TX and you're into heavy music, I do recommend them. Their album is coming out also on March 13th.
Nice. I'll have to check them out. Well, all right. We have come to our last segment of the show. Pitch me an artist. Do you guys have your pitches ready? What you got?
I went with an artist who I've loved this band a really long time, and I definitely try to tell a lot of people about them because they're very, very unknown. But the band's called Technicolor Teeth. They're from Appleton, Wisconsin. You know, when Cloakroom was starting, we played a lot of shows with them because we're from the tri-state area. And, you know, I think with the popularity of like shoegaze, we talk a lot about shoegaze, and a lot of the bands we recommend are falling under that umbrella. I think that this band was kind of ahead of their time because, you know, the records that they put out, I mean, this was before this sound really, really, really became popular. And I think if they were an active band now putting out the records they put out, they would probably be, you know, in a very prominent spot in the scene, but they kind of missed the window, you know. But their record, Can You Keep Me Out of Hell, is brilliant. It's incredible. It's spans so many different kinds of genres. You know, a lot of 90s pop rock alternative sensibilities, but then they do have like those really washed out production qualities that people who like shoegaze love. There's a lot of like really retro psychedelic sounding elements in there too. Every song sounds different. It's incredible. And their drummer, Amos Pitch, I will say, I think he's one of the most brilliant musicians in the country. He went on to be in bands Tenement, and he's in a band now called Dusk. They're just, and he's got a great record label and studio up there in Appleton, Wisconsin. He continues to work on great music and put great music out. Wow. So everything he has his DNA in is consistently brilliant, but I really, really love Technicolor Teeth. So to everyone who's listening to this podcast and they're hearing bands like Nothing and they're hearing bands like Trauma Ray and these modern shoegaze bands we're recommending, I definitely give a nod to this record.
Sold
to the highest bidder, son. I'm there. I'm right there. Okay. So I have two, and I don't know which one you'll know. I feel like you'll know them all, maybe. Maybe you might not. Have you ever heard of Sam Gelatry? No way. Okay, dude, we're up. We're up. We're so up. Okay, Sam Gelatry. This is an artist out of Scotland. So completely, if you listened to his music before and I told you he was from Scotland, you'd be like, huh? So this is an artist that got really popular on SoundCloud when he was like 14 years old and making beats that sounded like absolutely insane. Part of like the selection kind of area of music that people started to like Mr. Carmack. If you ever listen to Mr. Carmack, he was part of like kind of that era and making just like random beats that lasted like maybe 40 or 50 seconds and just posting them on SoundCloud, and people raved over him, like the quality of the record. And it was just surprising how he had never been, we didn't know what he looked like, nothing, just because obviously he was like a 14-year-old kid. But as he grew up, he started fleshing out his ideas into like actually well-written songs, like with real instruments and stuff like that. And he kind of settled on a sound that he highlighted on this album that just recently had come out this year or last year called Anywhere Here Is Perfect. And I think this is a culmination of all the hip hop stuff, the jazz stuff, like he had like jazz fills, like fusion jazz fills in hip hop songs that were part of like synthy 80s beats that sounded like Kate Bush. And like it was wild. Like
Wow.
and he finally kind of created a sound that now is, you could consider it pop, but this, for some reason, this album is not as popular as I feel like it should be. And I think if more people knew about it, it would be, it would fit in the spectrum so easily that you wouldn't even question why nobody even knew who he was in the first place. So my favorite song on this album is a song that has no drums in it. Funny enough, for it to be like a disco sounding funky record. It's called Clouds, and it is just analog synthesizers. Kind of like you can almost hear the looper in the song, like with the little pats that you hear, that if you don't EQ it out, you kind of hear the small little taps. And like that just kind of shows like how almost like organic the sound is. It's not just like completely built in a computer. It's like a real person cueing these things, cueing these synths. It makes it feel more alive. And he started getting more confident with his own vocals. So this is a guy who obviously didn't want to like even sing on his own music and like make beats and stuff, to like, now he like took vocal lessons and he figured out how to layer his voice to sound good. And so he kind of like came out of their shell to be a powerful singer. And he sings over the entire album. And I think Clouds will be his best performance. And definitely recommend listening to it straight through. In total is a 45-minute album. And I think it is his best work. And I think every album before that, you can tell it's like, oh my God, this, I get it now. So definitely recommend Sam Gellatree to anyone. I mean, you could like any music. Hell, if you like the Bruno Mars Romantic record, you're going to like this.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm definitely like a big fan of electronic music coming out of Europe. So I have a feeling. And also there's a ton of artists I already listened to in his fans also like section. So that's usually a good sign that it's a good recommendation. I'm excited for it.
I'll keep going on Cobra.
Okay.
Because I did talk about her before, and I was going to kind of elaborate on it. Obviously, this is part of New Music Friday, so I guess I'll say it. Like, obviously, have you guys ever heard of Cobra? Or
I haven't.
I haven't.
Okay, then, but yeah, she's from Sweden, left her hometown to go, obviously, to Germany and start learning about kind of the culture over there. Very inspired by, like, the club culture, which is kind of like BDSM culture, which is obviously very tied into the LGBTQ community. And her connection to bigger artists is insane, because she was kind of like your favorite artist of the avant-garde pop world. Like she worked a lot with like artists like Cupcake and Charlie XCX. And I honestly think that she was just the kind of like the best kept secret. Like she was signed to Atlantic Records and did not release an album like just about their whole tenure through there, which kind of led me to believe like what's going on. Like I didn't really understand. Like obviously I'm not like deep into the whole like the music business aspect of it all, but she'd only released like singles all the way and until now. And we're talking, this is like a 5-year span. So finally she has the opportunity to kind of put out a body of work that kind of represents her. Like taking like the soft aspects of like I said, the after the club, it sounds like the club, which sounds a lot like artists like FK Twigs. You guys familiar with FK Twigs?
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of inspiration from Twigs, I feel like, is in this record too. And also artists like Slater, like SLAYYYTER Slater. Like that kind of party atmosphere with also like the sense of self. Like I think that was missing from like 2010s pop music that it references. So like references older kind of like party music, but with like thoughts. Like not just like I'm out here and I'm doing cocaine kind of thing. Like it's not like that kind of music. Like it sounds like it, but she's like there's a lot of emotion behind it. And I think this Cobra album is going to be really interesting for pop music enjoyers, avant-garde EDM enjoyers, and people who otherwise kind of wouldn't listen to an artist that is insanely produced and like has this like outward, like very makeup-y like facade. So I think it's a very, very interesting album to listen to, and I'm very excited because couldn't believe it that she was even dropping an album after listening to Cobra for like before I even moved to North Carolina. That's how long ago she was making music.
Wow. Rock and roll. Yeah. Add her to the list. I got to check her out now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. For the freak in your world. For you got a freak in your family. She's going to like Cobra.
For the freak in ya.
For the freak
Turn
in
some
ya.
Cobra on. Yeah.
Cobra, COBRAH.
Oh.
Cobra.
All right. I like that. Well, to close out the show, we are going to look ahead up to what's next. Do you guys have anything exciting coming up these next 2 weeks before we get together again?
Are you racing, Brad?
I will be driving the ARCA car at Phoenix.
Ooh.
It is going to be a struggle. I'm just letting you guys know right now. By the time this episode comes out, you will understand that because you'll watch the race after this comes out. I'll race the day after this comes out, and you will see me struggle. And it's okay because I knew it was going to happen. It's for the love of the game. All right. So thank you guys for coming on board. Appreciate all the sponsors that came on board. Icon, Vampire State, everybody who came on board. Laps for muscular dystrophy. I appreciate y'all.
Wow.
And everyone who came on, the homies that decided to do the sponsors. Also, we have a really funny promotion that we'll show you guys there. I cannot say it now.
Ooh.
It includes some pups and kittens, and you guys will see that soon. So yeah, that'd be more fun than running the race, to be honest. Showing you guys that. But yeah, just excited to be out there still and learning. So you'll see me in the Hillenberg 10 car.
All right, we'll be on the lookout. That's so exciting. Good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
That's great. Bobby, how about you? Anything exciting? Any more shows coming up?
I don't have anything on my calendar that does not mean anything.
You never know.
So y'all know more the next time I talk to you, obviously. Yeah. But I probably just obviously got a lot of podcasts to produce and just be working in the studio.
Rock on, man.
Who knows what, we'll see what kind of output we have.
Good.
I have more things that are not racing related as well.
Yeah. What you got?
So first, this Saturday, if you're in Charlotte and you're not in Phoenix like me, The Wonder Years is playing at the Fillmore. And I love The Wonder Years. I'm a huge The Wonder Years fan, and I am very depressed that I am not going to be able to go see them. They are, quote unquote, my favorite band in the entire world. So if you are in Charlotte, please go see The Wonder Years. Yes, they are I love this band so much. I can cry about it. They're from Philly. Just very excited to see them. I will end up seeing them some way, shape, or form. Probably going to end up traveling to go see them. They were at the Fillmore on Saturday. On Sunday, Icy Stars is at the Fillmore. So we talked about Icy Stars and Mothica last week. Mothica and Icy Stars will be at the Fillmore. I will be there because I will actually be in town. So I'm excited to go see them. Sweet. Also, another artist, if you are into electronic music, break beats, drum and bass, things of the sort, Machine Girl is going to be at the Underground. That is live electronic music. That is very rare to see. It's always a DJ set. To see rare live electronic music, Machine Girl is awesome. And very rarely playing shows in the U.S. So Machine Girl at the Underground Fillmore. Definitely recommend. On top of that, because the next episode that we film will be after this, I am DJing a show in Toronto on March 14th at Bar Dem. If you are in town, in Toronto, Bar Dem, it is adjacent to this sick-ass Vietnamese restaurant. I will be DJing the awesome slot of like kind of around 10 p.m., 11 p.m. DJ Ernesto, Press Play, and a couple other great DJs in the area. So if you're down to listen to some hard groove and some dancey house and hard techno and stuff like that, I have a set that I've been working on for literally like 3 weeks to make sure that it's on time. Yeah, come on down.
Hell yes, that's awesome. To all of our Canadian listeners, you gotta go.
Yes.
Damn, I want to fly out for that.
Come on down, party with us. Go to Vegas. Go to
there you
Toronto.
go. We will see you all in 2 weeks. New music, new tracks. Catch us on all of our socials and podcast streaming platforms. We have new episodes releasing every other week. Be sure to check out our playlists as well on streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, YouTube as well. Hit us up in the comments section, and we'll see you guys next time on Speed of Sound.